Hello everybody, welcome to Guesswork Garage. Today, through a series of trades and Facebook Marketplace BS, we ended up with a 1948 DeSoto. I don't know anything about this. I knew about DeSotos, but I'd only ever seen them a couple of times in person. I've never driven one. I've never worked on one. It is one of the oldest cars that I have ever worked on. The only things earlier than it are all World War II equipment. Nothing older than that, really. I don't think. Let's take you for a quick walk around this thing, just because it's such a neat little car, right? So this was this had the fluid drive transmission, which was an early automatic transmission. From what I understand, it's got a safety clutch. You release the safety clutch, the car goes, and it shifts on its own from there. You have a range on your gears, from what I understand. But I may have to read a little bit more into it. We just got this in while I was in, what state was I in?
Indiana.
Was it while I was in Indiana? I thought it was while I was in Michigan.
One of the two.
Yeah, it's while I was in Michigan, and then I immediately had to leave for work again in Indiana. I was supposed to have a few days off. Well, now I'm leaving for Pennsylvania tomorrow. So we're shooting this today. And also we have a party that we're going to with my parents, because my parents are moving out of the state. So it's a busy day, and my focus is completely shot. Not gonna lie, there's bugs flying everywhere. My ADHD is flipping the fuck out. And you know what, to be perfectly honest, I don't look like I'm really dressed for the occasion. I look more like I'm dressed to be doing a review on that. Odie's sitting comfortably in the driver's seat. He loves that car. I feel almost like I should fix that. Like I should maybe dress a little bit more era appropriate before I dive into this thing mechanically. But I think what I will do is take you around it real quick just to kind of show you what we've got going on here. So, did I just repeat myself? So as you can see, somebody took some time, did some pinstriping on this. This isn't factory as far as I know. It's got the nice hood ornament still on it. Most of the chrome is here. The only chrome that's missing from the sides I actually have. It's in the car. It needs new tires. They're not holding air. But it does have DeSoto simulated white walls. So those rims were like a simulated white wall because, of course, if I'm going to get one, this is the poverty spec DeSoto. You were still fucking rich. You just not as rich. Think of somebody that's like got this much money, and then somebody got this much money. They still had money. Anyway, so at some point in time, this thing had like a lucky rabbit's foot or a foxtail. It gone. It does have a really cool school parking sticker in it. And I'm not sure from what school, but I'll eventually get around to searching that up. The door locks on this one's frozen, unfortunately. But the locks work. There's this kind of intricate work here on the door handles, which is really cool. And if you open her up, so look at the dash and stuff. Look at how nice that is. Like they really went all out on these things, and they look so good on the inside. It does need a roof liner and some other odds and ends stuff, but this is going to be kind of fun to put back together, I think. The goal is to have it done by the Light the Night car show, which is next month, with the goal of selling it while we're there, along with that guy. Believe it or not, nobody has even inquired, really, about buying it. All that I've heard is that, I want $4,500 for it because it's a California car. Everybody says that's more than fair because there's no rust. And you know what happens? They don't fucking show up. What's the deal? Anyway, let's walk you around to this side. So, it's going to be hard to get down there. We should have gone the other way. Why, hello, what a coincidence meeting you here. So, and you know what the nice thing is, right? So, the glass is intact. The filler neck is still here, but the cap is gone because the fuel hose itself is gone because it has a racing fuel cell in it. Now that I'll have to fix. I don't really like that very much, and I think it would look a lot better with the factory one. And I don't have to name it. It's already named. So, anyway, let's dive into this thing and get some work done. Maybe get it moving today and see what's going on. Oh, let's see what we're working with. So that is a straight 6. I've not worked on one. Also, this thing is positive grounded instead of your typical ground, so that's something unique. I don't think that this is a self-supporting hood. Where is the hood prop? So it turns out there's not a prop rod for this. That's going to make things difficult once we start really digging into it. But you know what? We'll deal with that when we get a chance to. Right now, I'll get a little bit of a workout in this heavy-ass hood. So, as you can see, to a point, this car is a lot wider than it needs to be. Like, this is the equivalent of people saying they're big boned. Nah, man, you're just fat. So, well, there's not a whole lot that we can do outside of just see if it runs, right? You can check, see if it turns over, and then we'll check and see if it runs. So, let's hop on that. I can't even make my girlfriend happy with less than 12. It's because her car requires a new battery, you perverts. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's running. Well, we know she runs. Let's do a very quick, very rudimentary equipment check. Do you want to see if our headlights work? Ready? I suppose it'd help if I knew which one was for that. Turn signal? Turn signal? Nothing? What about the other way? No? Oh. Uh-oh. Well, so we don't have lights, so we can't drive it at night. That's something we can deal with. I can't believe how good this thing runs. She's just fucking purring. And I believe I'm in neutral. I am not. Sorry. Let's see if she'll start back up again.
Remember, we do have the old hand up.
I know what's wrong with it.
What's wrong?
Transmission's bad. I almost put money on it. Once we gotta. Oh, you know what? Of course it won't move. The parking brake was on. Did you record all that? Oh man, I'm a dumbass. So check out this parking brake, by the way. It's the weirdest little parking brake I've ever seen. Well, she's kind of running. Do we want to roll it around the neighborhood once?
Yeah.
I don't know, I might have to think about it. It pulls from the tank. It acts like it wants to go like right now, which is pretty cool. So, well, let's get into the other part of it since we're already here. Let's show you around some of the stuff with the interior on this thing, because she's got some problems, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with having problems. So as I was digging through, I encountered the cigarette lighter. I'm pretty sure that this is original, because it is a 6 to 8 volt cigarette lighter. I wonder if it works. I wonder if it requires the power to be on for it to work. That didn't occur to me. We'll try it when we turn it back on. Or it will eject onto the floor, and then we'll have a whole new episode of problems. But yeah, let's take a look around this thing real quick. So, this seat cover, obviously, not original. The original seating is underneath of all this. No, that's not a giant mouse house. That's really straw that they used to pack the seats with. I think it's cool. But hey, I'm allergic to straw. Anyway, so we'll have to kind of fix that. And by fix it, I mean we're going to cover it up and then pretend it doesn't exist. Because this isn't a forever car for us. This is a let's get her running, driving, and then pass it on to the next guy that's going to want to do something really cool with it. I'm okay with that. I'm not in a position to have forever cars, really. I mean, I just bought 2. The Taurus that's over there, and then the Buick that's sitting out on the road, which you can't really see. Because I needed a car for work, so I bought the Buick, and then my parents decided that since they were moving to Alabama, they didn't need 3 cars. So I bought the Taurus to use for work. So I have 2 work cars, which is a nice way of saying that the person operating the camera ended up with a pretty okay 2003 Buick that'll probably appear on the channel at some point. Anyway, these are, I don't know what you're doing over there. You're on the wrong side. Look at you. You can't even figure out the doors. What are you doing? So these all have this kind of leatherette insert. This one's missing a crank handle, which I'm going to try to find one, but I doubt I'll be able to. The window is broken a little bit. Sorry, now I'm on the wrong side. There you go again, making me look like the bad guy. So, yeah, this leatherette is actually quite nice. It's very soft. The back of these seats, though, retain what the patterning was for the original seats. They were this color. They were this tan pile fabric back then. And to add kind of to the cool factor here is, oh no, the hinge is broken. Well, I'll deal with that at some point. There's ashtrays in the back of the seat. You can see it right there, the metal bit right there. So there's an ashtray back there. It's got these nice armrests that'll have to probably be reupholstered, but we're probably not going to do that. No reason to lie to you about it. I don't know half of what I'm doing here, but we know that we can make new backing for the seats because we can still get the fabric. The carpet in this, I have no idea what it was originally, but as you can see, the floor has been repaired at some point in its life. And as you can also see, there's some paint missing. This color, by the way, is royal maroon, and it is a factory color. I didn't know that. I thought that some hot rodder had painted it up and been like, yeah, this is a good color. No. Desoto was like, you know, other companies have a royal blue and a British racing green. What about a royal maroon? Yes, Mr. CEO man, because that's exactly what you are, a royal maroon. Thank you. That's a great color, royal maroon. For those of you that don't know, maroon was a nice way of saying moron. Watch some Tom and Jerry. Do you some good.
Watch some
So, also in here, we've got looks like another carburetor in a box. It's definitely an old one.
Quite old.
Odds and ends, screws and bolts. I'm sure that those will come in handy at some point. There's shocks and struts back here that aren't for this, brake parts that aren't for this. He just left them in there. These are from a Camaro because he was going to make a sun visor. Those of you that have seen cars, you know the sun visor that the sheriff's car has that kind of comes out right here and comes out? He was going to build them out of these valance pieces because those sunshades are expensive, like $800-900. I ain't paying that, and I don't blame them. These seat covers are going to come out, they're going to get washed, and they're going to be stashed away in the garage so we can use them on the next car that doesn't have good seats. Seems like a good thing to do. We've got to recover all the back, and the headliner was in good shape when I went and looked at it, but there were some tears, so I removed it. Wasn't tears that I could really fix, but we can fix this. If I remember right, the roof liner was made out of the same stuff as the seats, so we can make a new one. It's not a big deal. Also, these are well, you can't say that on YouTube now, so they're Easy Way outdoors.
Unalivement doors.
Unalivement doors. They're the Kurt Cobain experience doors. Robert Carradine's rope trick doors. Any of these landing for you? I don't know. Anyway, let's go to the other side. Well, same setup with the doors on this side, but on this side, the lock cover isn't broken. They got this nice lock cover on them. Cool little detail stuff like that gets me every time. It's weird stuff, but it's really cool stuff, like the hood ornament that I forgot to show off. Anyway, we'll come around here to the back and we'll find out that the car was actually named, so I don't have to do that. Somebody at some point named the car Miss Daisy. Probably around the same time that they did all the pinstriping. It's the same script, and if you know how to tell people's writing and stuff apart, you know that that and that are pretty close to the same, right? The fenders have got some fill in them. I'm not going to be able to really fix that because I don't want to ruin fenders on a car that's this old. Let's take a look in the trunk. You're not going to like what you see. Believe me, I didn't either, but we're going to work around it. So at some point, somebody cut out the original floor in this and installed a fuel tank out of something. I don't know what it's from. I can just tell you that it's not original. We're going to try to fix that. Do I think we'll be able to? Probably not. We're a little limited on time on this one, but there is something that we will fix eventually, and that's that this thing, if you look on the far side there, it has a second glass filter tucked back in the trunk. And those things, they're cool. I like them. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that they look really, really cool because you can see the glass flowing through them, and they kind of remind me of the really old, step that way just a little bit, the really old gas pumps where you cranked them, and then when you crank it, it would give you the exact amount of gallons that you needed. You'd crank it, and it would show you the spyglass, and then it would drop it. They're neat. They're a fire hazard. They shatter, they spill gasoline everywhere, and man, if you don't catch it, it's a good way to lose your ride. I've been fortunate enough to not have that be the cause of a fire because I've caught it before. I've only had a couple cars catch on fire on me, and they were both things that were outside of my control. One was a power steering pump that burned up, and it got hot enough that the metal was at working temperature. If you've done any blacksmithing, you know that that's really fucking hot. And in the process of the whole shaft and pulley flying around, it decided to seat itself up against the intake somewhere, which caused a leak in the fuel line, and we were able to get it put out. But still, the car was a little waterlogged after driving into a puddle that was about here deep to put it out, but it worked. And the other one was a car that I was going to buy, and while we were on the test drive, it burst into flames. I walked home. I don't think I should have bought that one. So this one's also got the nice little key cover on it, and then it's got your tail light lamp, and I've got to figure out what controls the lights on this thing for it to be road legal. Also, we have the trim panels for down here. They're in there. This right here is your air conditioner. When you pull on one of the levers in there, it springs this up to pull air in. Yeah. Hey man, it's old tech, but it's still cool. It's anything like that. Teletypes, crank phones, old cars. You can almost always guarantee that they'll work. You just might have to put in a little bit of work. But believe me, it's worth it. Well, we got her running. Now I feel like it's only right that we take it for a little bit of a drive just to see how she rolls. But do we want to wait until we get these George H.W. Bush era tires off of it? Or do we want to just risk it for the biscuit?
I would prefer to wait for the tires because
yeah, I think we probably ought to wait until we get the new tires on. Also, these left-handed threads. For those of you that don't know what that means righty loosey, lefty tighty. In this era, you'll see it on some World War II vehicles and anything like pre-50s, sometimes all the way up into the later 50s. They put them on that way because they were worried that through the spinning of the wheel, that it would loosen itself over time. That the centrifugal force of the wheel spinning would cause the lug nuts to loosen themselves. In theory, it makes perfect sense. I understand why they thought that way. In reality, it only works that way if they're loose. But we're going to clean up the paint and make it look good. And honestly, like the bare metal parts of this, we can't really do anything about. The paint's just come off over the years, so we'll work with it. Sorry, my brain stopped. So it's several months later, and I completely forgot to shoot an outro for the Desoto. Fuck! Go figure. Anyway, so in that time, a lot of things have changed. We're now filming from inside of a garage, albeit it's still cold. We do have power now, which is nice. But with that car gone, we made a trade. And let me tell you, I kind of got taken on it. Kind of shouldn't have done it. It is what it is though, right? The whole goal is to make things work again, and well, starting with a car that decided to work right off the bat isn't exactly going to get you there. So now what? Well, now we have a buffer episode in between this one and the next one. And with that, y'all have the day you deserve. We'll see you around.